Hey everyone, and welcome to another video, another top 10 video. In this top 10 video, I'm going to be sharing with you the top 10 fragrances that last the longest amount of time on my skin. So the 10 fragrances in my collection that have the best longevity. Now, before I begin, I just want to say that these are fragrances that have a really good longevity on my skin. So this only reflects the way that the fragrances behave and act on my skin in particular. So just because I get really good longevity out of these fragrances doesn't necessarily mean that you or anybody else is going to get that same type of longevity. As a matter of fact, as a testament to that, the number 10 fragrance on this list has spotty longevity for some people. You see reviews of people online saying that it lasts a really long time. Some people say they only get a few hours out of it. On my skin, if I don't wash it off, it's probably going to be on there for days. So just keep that in mind. Also, just because a fragrance lasts longer than other fragrances, I don't think that that necessarily makes it any better than other fragrances. I think it really all depends on the occasions in which you're going to wear them. So for example, if you're going to a club, you want to wear a fragrance that really cuts through the crowd, really overrides everybody else's fragrances, then maybe you are looking for a fragrance that has extremely potent longevity. If you're going to attend a more closer encounter type of a scenario, maybe you only want something that projects just a little bit, not necessarily going to envelop or fill the entire room. So just 2 points that I want you to keep in mind as you're watching this video. But without further ado, let's get into the top 10 longest lasting fragrances in my collection video. I don't have any honorable mentions, but I will say that if I were to make a top 20 or top 25 list, there are a lot of fragrances that I know could have easily made this list. I'll make a point of trying to mention them as we go along. But for starters, let's start off with number 10. Now, the number 10 fragrance on this list is a fragrance that I was sampling back in December. I had it for a very long time. I've had it for a few months now. But I was trying it in December when I did my second Subscriber's Choice video. And I really thought that this fragrance was going to win. And I really do want to review this fragrance. I will review it eventually. I will try to get that video out this year. But when I was trying it out, I remember specifically spraying it on this part of my skin. And I showered a few times since then, and I remember just constantly smelling this area, and I'm like, wow, I can still smell it. I can still smell it. Even after scrubbing in the shower, this fragrance lasts a really, really long time on my skin. For some other people, they say longevity is spotty. I get really good longevity from this fragrance. It's from the house of Tom Ford. This is a private blend, and it's called Tuscan Leather. So again, I get really good longevity from this fragrance. Especially if I spray it on skin, it's going to last on there for a very long time. I would guess that if I don't wash it off, it's going to be on there for, honestly, days. So all of these fragrances are 12 plus hours, so keep that in mind. And this one does really last a very long time on my skin. Number 9 on my list is a fragrance that as soon as I sprayed it on my skin, I knew it was going to last a long time, just because my skin looked so oily when I sprayed it on my skin. And when I tried it in store, I knew I had to have it. I was really intrigued by how long this fragrance lasted, but also by the smell. I think the composition really is what allows this fragrance to, I guess, last and project more than others. It's from the house of Montal. I've reviewed this fragrance. It's called Intense Cafe. Now, despite the fact that some people say they get the coffee note for a long time, some people say they don't get it for a very long time, I think one thing that nobody is really going to argue over is the fact that this fragrance lasts for a very long time. And I know it sounds weird, but I think people are more likely to pick up the smell of chocolate in the air than they are the smell of flowers. I know as weird as that sounds, but I really think it's a composition and the gourmand elements that are found in this fragrance that really give one the impression that it has superior longevity, and I really do believe it does. This is eau de parfum, just like the Tom Ford, but it lasts a very long time, hours on my skin. Definitely would probably go over a day on my skin if I were to wear this. So number 9 on my list, Intense Cafe by Montal. Number 8 on my list is yet another fragrance that the very first time I tried it, just the composition itself really stood out. And I think that that's primarily due to the fact that it utilizes a lot of base notes in this fragrance. So of course the base notes are the ones that have a lower volatility and a higher molecular structure, so it takes a longer time for them to evaporate off your skin, and that's exactly the case with this fragrance. It's woody, it's dark, it's resinous, it's also spicy, a little bit ambery, but also leathery. So when you think of all the notes, with the exception of the spices, I guess, you know this is a fragrance that's going to last a long time. It's from the house of Nasomato, and this one is called Duro. Now, duro is Italian for hard or durable, and just like the name implies, in terms of its longevity, it has very high durability. It lasts for a very long time. Excellent longevity, definitely going to last for days on your skin. Now, the number 7 fragrance on my list is a fragrance that I sampled originally at Mint, New York, and it's right when they started carrying this line. The line is called Jo Voy. And I remember I came across this one fragrance, and it reminded me a lot of a fragrance that I have called Den El Oud Mubarak by a company called Swiss Arabian, which is actually a perfume oil. And that fragrance also lasts a very long time, just because it's a perfume oil and there's no alcohol. But with this fragrance, it's almost like it replicated that smell, but it gave me even more longevity despite the fact that it's eau de parfum concentration. And again, from the house of Jo Voy, this fragrance is called Private Label. And with this fragrance, what you get is a really dirty vetiver, kind of along the lines of, I guess, like a vetiver 46 or a Comme des Garçons 2-man, very dirty vetiver, but you also get this heavy ambry accord in the dry down with this very animalic and aggressive leather. It's definitely worth trying, but this one is definitely going to get you noticed when you first spray it. One spray of this fragrance, it's going to fill up the entire room, so please keep that in mind. Number 7 on this list, Private Label by Jo Voy. Number 6 on this list is a fragrance that I was immediately intrigued by, and I think that it comes from a house that has a lot of other fragrances that last a very long time. So I think this one can get overlooked. But again, I think just as is the case with this fragrance and this fragrance, it's really the composition that makes it stand out. And I think just the boldness and the potency of this fragrance makes it stand out. And it definitely has superior longevity, astronomical longevity. It's from the house of Le Labo, and it's called Patchouli 24. Now with this fragrance, you have a lot of people saying that it kind of has like this barbecue feel to it, and that's very true. It contains a note of birch tar, which smells like a burning forest. If you've ever smelled birch tar essential oil, it smells like burning leaves. And with this fragrance, that's exactly what happens, except you have benzoin and vanilla in the dry down, which really offers this really sweet, heavenly mix of ingredients. So some people are inclined to say it smells like barbecue. What I do know for sure is that it lasts a really, really long time on your skin, and you're going to get noticed even with a single spray. So please keep that in mind and be wary of that if you're looking to wear it. This is definitely a commitment. Now, as far as the top 5 fragrances in this list go, they are without a doubt a commitment. There's no scent of the day, scent of the night when you're wearing these fragrances. These are going to be both your scent of the day and your scent of the night. They will last a very long time unless you take a shower, and even then you're still going to probably be able to smell them faintly on your skin unless you scrub very vehemently in the shower. So with that being said, let's get on to number 5. Number 5, and all of these 5 fragrances in the top 5 I think are fragrances that are very well known in the fragrance community, and number 5 comes as no surprise. I know it's not going to come as a surprise to people. This fragrance, when it first came out, it was revered for the fact that it lasted such a long time, and again, because of the composition, there's no doubt in my mind that this one was not going to last a long time. It's from the house of Nasamato, again the second Nasamato fragrance on this list, and it's called Black Afghano. Now, the other fragrances on my list from the house of Nasamato can also last a very long time, and I'm talking about like Pardon and Hindu Grass. I think those have excellent longevity as well, but there's just something about this one. Again, take a note of caution. Do not spray this on your clothes. I would imagine that the black liquid could potentially stain your clothes, but just the fact that this fragrance contains all these dark ingredients in it, as the name and the color of the juice implies, it is definitely going to last a very long time on your skin. Absolutely love the smell, but this is a classic example of one of those fragrances that will actually give you olfactory fatigue. And what that is basically, I think that sometimes our body becomes so encumbered or overwhelmed by the amount of stimuli, and in this case olfactory stimuli, that your body will actually start to combat it in the sense that you're not going to be able to smell it anymore. So you spray this fragrance on, and I know it's happened with me. After a while you're like, I don't know if I can still smell it, I don't know if it's still there, if it evaporated. Trust me, this fragrance is still going to be there, alive and well. So number 5 on my list, Black Afghano by Nasamato. Number 4 on my list is one of the one of my absolute favorite fragrances in my collection, and everybody knows about this one. I think there's been a lot of hype surrounding this fragrance when it first came out, and I think that in terms of longevity, this fragrance had the potential of being at least number 2 in this list, but there are just other 3 fragrances that did a really, really good job. But this is from the house of Amouage, and it's called Interlude Man. And with this fragrance, you get a very smoky, resinous fragrance. Again, some people say it smells like a fireplace, or it has this burning smell to it, and it definitely does. And I think that that's what causes this fragrance to last such a long time, is the lack of volatility in the notes that are utilized. But definitely keep that in mind. With this fragrance, honestly, if you get this on your clothes, it will be there for months until you wash them off. Superior longevity. And I also want to mention that Lyric Man and Jubilation 25 also have really good longevity. I would say that Lyric Man, despite the fact that it's a very floral dominant fragrance with citrus in it, it does last as long as Interlude Man does. I think this one is just a little bit better though. But there are, like I said, a lot of fragrances that could have made this list. Could have very easily been a top 20 list. But this one, excellent, excellent longevity. Number 4 on my list, Interlude Man by Amouage. Number 3 on my list is actually the only designer fragrance on this list, and I was completely shocked, not by the fact that it's a designer fragrance, but the fact that it's eau de toilette concentration, where the average is 4 to 6 hours. So when I smelled this fragrance and I tried it on my skin, I was shocked by how long it lasted. And kind of like a little personal anecdote, I remember spraying this one specifically on the back of my left hand. And I remember I went a few days, like 3 days, without spraying a fragrance on this part of my hand. And I remember I smelled my hand one day when I was about to put on a sample, and I said, oh no, I can't put the sample on here because I'm wearing something here. And then I thought to myself, hold on, I didn't put any fragrance on my skin here today. What's going on, right? So I'm like, I'm smelling it and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And I'm like, when did I spray a fragrance last on this side of my skin? And then when I realized what fragrance it was, I was so shocked. Because I wash my hands like 4 or 5 times a day, and you know, I shower once or twice a day, so when this happened I was really taken aback. This fragrance is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and it's called M7. Now I want to mention that this is the original formulation. I have not tried the reformulated version, so I can't vouch and say that the performance is going to be the same, but for this fragrance, it really does last a very, very long time on my skin. I was very shocked by that. So this is without a doubt a commitment. So if you are going to wear this fragrance, I would highly recommend you don't do more than 2 sprays. If you do any more than that, especially on a pulse point, you're likely to choke somebody out when you're wearing it in public. So just be very cautious of your surroundings when you wear this fragrance. On my skin, it lasts a very, very long time, and I would actually take a gander at saying that on your skin it's probably going to have the same effect. So, number 2 on my list is a fragrance that I thought was going to be number 1 on my list. Instantly. I said this fragrance is definitely going to be number 1, and then when I was looking at my collection, I found one that I knew was undeniably going to be number 1. But this fragrance has the potential of being number 1. And a lot of other people have mentioned that it has really good longevity. They're definitely not lying. And when you think of, you know, it beating fragrances like Black Afghano and Interlude Man, I think that really does serve as a testament as to how long this fragrance actually lasts. The little personal anecdote that I would like to share for this one is I remember spraying it during Christmas time, because I actually got this as a Christmas gift. I sprayed it on my skin, and this fragrance, I kid you not, is like bacteria. I sprayed it on my wrist, and then I remember I put on my coat. And it wasn't like right after I sprayed it, maybe a few minutes after I sprayed it, but it got on the sleeve of my coat. And just the other day, I think a couple of days ago, I was sitting on my couch watching TV, and then I started to get this sweet smell, and I'm like, where's that coming from? And then I remember I put my wrist up to my hand, and I was smelling something on my hand, so I'm like, I didn't spray a fragrance on my wrist today, so what could it be that I'm smelling? And I'm like, well, maybe it came off my watch, but then I realized I wear my watch in a different hand. So I'm like, okay, something is wrong here. But it turns out that what I was smelling was indeed this fragrance that rubbed off my coat, and then that rubbed off in my hand during Christmas time. So now we're talking 2 months later, and I'm able to smell it on my wrist. This is a deadly fragrance. This is like bacteria. This is from the house of Montal, the second Montal fragrance on this list, and it's called Red Oud. I kid you not, this fragrance is a commitment in a bottle. If you're going to wear this fragrance, do not make plans to wear any other fragrance that day, or quite possibly even the next day. If you don't have at least 10 minutes to shower, you're not going to be able to get this off your skin. You really have to scrub to get this fragrance off your skin. And I was really shocked, because I never expected a fragrance to have this kind of longevity, but this fragrance does it. Red Oud by Montal. Take caution. Number one on my list is a fragrance that beat every single one of these fragrances. Yes, even Black Afghano, even Red Oud, even Duro, and Tuscan Leather. This fragrance on this list is a fragrance that I have gotten, I think, more negative comments when I wore it in public than positive. There have been some people who absolutely love the smell. I've encountered some people, I had them smell it, they said they were addicted to it. Some other people, they said they really didn't care for it. This is a fragrance that I wore in public though, and I remember walking into a room hours after I sprayed it, and only having done like 2 sprays, and people started coughing. A little personal anecdote I want to share. I was in New York, I think with Renee Zayas and a couple other people, and I remember somebody was trying this fragrance. Now I didn't see them trying this fragrance at New York, but all of a sudden I started to get the smell of this fragrance in the air, and I started thinking to myself, hold on, I think somebody just sprayed this fragrance. And then I look over in that direction, and lo and behold, somebody was trying this fragrance out, but they did 1 spray on a test strip, and I was smelling it from across the room. And that's exactly what this fragrance does. As a matter of fact, before I filmed this video, I sprayed it on my hand, and somebody in my kitchen was like, is somebody cooking? Is somebody using clove? And this fragrance does contain clove, and that's how strong this fragrance is. So without further ado, this is from the house of Kerosene, and it's called Copper Skies. This fragrance by far has the strongest longevity out of all these fragrances in my collection. But again, I think if you overdo it with this fragrance, you are going to get some complaints rather than compliments from it. So please keep that in the back of your mind. Superior longevity, honestly, this is going to last on your skin days. I can't go that long, I can't go without taking a shower for a long time, so I can't really say it's going to last 3 or 4 or 5 days, but I can tell you right now, if you spray this on your skin, it's going to last more than you desire for it to last on your skin. So there you have it, guys. These are the top 10 longest lasting fragrances / colognes in my collection. If you own or have tried any of these fragrances, please let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. Also, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to shoot me a message, and I will definitely try to get back to you as soon as possible. Please don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Again, thank you so much for tuning into my channel and watching my videos. It does mean a lot to me. So again, thank you so much for watching. This has been Steven from Redolescence with another video. Take care.